I ain't never missed my cue.
What's up, guys? Ryan Fitterman, Fitterman Sports. We are live with the Fitterman and Friends podcast with the one and only, the legend himself, Dr. J. Thank you very much for being here today.
Yeah.
This is our second or third time to work together in Houston.
Yep.
I'm always grateful for the opportunity. Neither of us would be here with our good friend Sean of Famous Inc. So, Sean, wherever you're at, thank you for making this possible.
Yeah.
NBA legend, ABA legend, essentially a 16-time All-Star. Your resume is unbelievable. Thank you very much for being here today. How'd you get the nickname The Doctor? How did all that start, and who gave you that
I have
nickname?
multiple nicknames.
Okay.
Before I talk about that, let me just say that before coming here, I gave Clyde Drexler a call,
Yes, sir.
and he gave you a ringing endorsement. Wait a minute, that's my guy. He's a good guy because Clyde and I, we just call each other 6'6" because we're both 6'6".
Yes, sir.
And whatever, but he happened to be down in Cabo, so that's why he didn't drop by while we were doing what we were doing.
Yes, sir.
And but he did speak very highly of you. And just back to your original question, how did I get the name of the Doctor? Just a childhood friend. We used to play ball together, and he was a good negotiator. The ball would hit his leg and go out of bounds, and he'd figure that I'm going to argue this call because I got pushed. So it didn't. I know it went off on my leg, but I got pushed, so I should get possession of the ball. This is when you're playing one-on-one. I'm like,
Come on.
well, who pushed you? I didn't push you. So he started calling me the doctor, and I started calling him the professor, and we just hung out a lot, and we happened to go through middle school, high school, and we went to the same college. So other people kind of picked up on the nickname, and the doctor was becoming popular in college circles, at my school anyway. And then I went to the Rucker League, which is the pro basketball league.
Yes, sir.
I started doing my moves on the court, and the announcers started calling me Houdini and Black Moses, Little Hawk, and whatever. So I had to stop and tell them, you're going to call me anything, just call me the Doctor. Then Doctor stuck, and it was now put on a higher level. And when I went to the Virginia Squires, of course, they called the team Dr. Doc, and they called the team nurse Doc, and there was a lot of docs around, so my trainer said, you're going to be Dr. J. There's only going to be one Dr. J.
That's it.
That was Bob Trabolini who said that. And so he's the one who actually coined it long after my original buddy, who was the professor, and that was Leon Saunders.
So I might have a biased opinion, but coming from you, who do you think is the best dunker of all time? I mean, you've done some unbelievable things.
Yeah.
The kids nowadays still copy you.
Yeah.
Who would you say is the best dunker ever?
Yeah. It's between a handful of guys that probably, the aforementioned Clyde Drexler is in the conversation. In my mind, Vince Carter's in the conversation. Dominique Wilkins is in the conversation. And then the more acrobatic, dunkers that you see today are doing things that, had not been thought of or dreamed of before. So, I think I used to be in the conversation, but I think the audience wants to see, the trickery, ball behind your back, between your legs, throwing it up in the air, bouncing off the top of the backboard, and then somebody grabbing it and dunking it or whatever. And I think that in-game situations, those guys that I mentioned, which would include also Michael Jordan, of course, LeBron James. Yeah, I would think in-game dunking should be the category, not just dunking.
Understood. I respect
dunking off a trampoline or jumping over cars and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's not real basketball.
Understood. I agree with that. So when I had the opportunity to sit down with Jerry West, he kind of deferred from this question, but do you have a top 5 of all time? Like, who's your Mount Rushmore of basketball?
Yeah. I always get in trouble when I name my team because I picked my team when I was 15 years old. So obviously that eliminates a whole lot of people.
Yes, sir.
From being my favorite 5 and the 5 that I would take, to the tournament if I was taking a 5-man team. So I would take Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, and
You got to include yourself.
Nah, be on that team. I was 15 years old when I picked the team.
Understood.
So
For that.
so Wilt Russell, and the least respected player in NBA history, Elgin Baylor. Elgin Baylor. That would be my Mount Rushmore, my favorite team I would take to battle and feel confident that they can make some people feel pretty bad.
Yes, sir. So I would say as one of the greatest pro athletes, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, you obviously have a resume that just oozes success on the court. You're a very successful businessman off the court. Whether someone is striving to be an athlete or striving to be an entrepreneur, what is like the one piece of advice that you would want to pass on to the youth or some young adults of our day?
Well,
Say no matter what you're gonna
Yeah.
go out there and get, this is my go-to.
I'm glad you asked that question. I've always tried to be consistent, in my view of things, consistent in my approach to execution, whether it was practicing basketball or doing my homework or just going out and enjoying nature and looking at the sights and sounds that the world gives us that we so often take for granted. For me, it's always the carrot is out in front. Past is relevant, but don't be dominated and don't be controlled by things that happened yesterday, because they're probably going to happen again. And they're definitely going to happen again if you keep them on your mind all the time.
Yes, sir.
So I'm pretty confident that individuals who think positive and put that carrot out in front of them, plan, and feel confident that maybe the next day will be the best day of your life. And then it'll come true one day that next day will be the best day of your life.
Listen, today was an unbelievable day. Thanks again for our mutual friend, Sean, for making this happen.
Yep.
Thank you for coming on my new podcast. Again, guys, Dr. J, one of the greatest of all time, absolute basketball icon, gentleman off the court. This was an amazing opportunity. I'm very grateful for what you did for us. Thank you for visiting us here in Houston, and we look forward to working with you again soon.
Yep, won't be the last time.
Yes, sir. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
I ain't never missed my